Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Talk, a cardboard podcast. This is episode number 10. Ricky, we've made it to double digits. How are you doing this fine morning as we're recording here on January 24th?
I'm doing good. Nice to see that we've reached 10 episodes so far. Looking forward for more. Um, yeah, and I've just been chilling here in Chicago. How about you, Murph?
It's crazy thinking back about, like game planning about the podcast, trying to figure this out. It's just the little details and just, I don't want to say like winging it on the way, but just like, it's just going with the flow and talking about whatever's in the news. And next thing you know, we're what are we, like 3-4 months in? I think we started this in September, so like 4 months in. It's crazy to think back and be like, wow, pretty cool that we have a little podcast going. We're just talking about the hobby, pretty much what we do. When we message back and forth anyway, so might as well make a little content out of it. But it is frigid. It is freezing cold. I hate this weather. It's snow, it's slush, it's rain, it's ice, it's everything I hate about this New England weather. I want spring, I want summer, and I want it to be warm. So that's how I'm doing this morning. A little miserable, but I got caffeine, I got sports cards, I got the hobby, and we're going to have a blast in today's episode. So let's just I want to get this right out of the way because I don't want to eat too much time in this episode. But last week was it? Yeah, it was last week. I encountered a 1-star review on the shop's Google page. Now, people that are listening in that may not be local to the shop or maybe even know about this story, obviously sit back and relax because this is a good one where I don't think I deserved it. And this is going to kind of segue into a bigger overarching topic here, to open the episode. I'm talking about respect in the hobby. And if the shop deserves a 1-star review, by all means, please give it to me. And I will never, never say, don't give me a 1-star review if I deserve it. But people are so quick to hate, to bash, to discriminate, to put down, to really just put a fork in the side of you in this hobby, or maybe just in any business, really, and leave a 1-star review, tarnish your reputation, damage your image. For what though? Like, I mean, I think there's probably like 7 1-star reviews on the Google page. I'm not going to go through all of them, but this guy was trying to blame me for a potential blemish that he caused on his own card. Bought a card, back I think in the fall, maybe 3 months later, he goes to check it, and there's a damage on the backside of the card. Now, Ricky, when you used to come here before you moved, I was very transparent, and people probably watching that do come to the shop still know that I'm beyondly transparent. Hey, there's a print line. Hey, there's a corner. Hey, whatever.
Hmm.
And that's one of my philosophies. If that's fine with you and you still want to purchase it, go ahead. If not, I get it. But I'd rather let you know now before you might second guess or regret making that purchase because of the flaw, whatever the flaw is. So the guy was trying to pin that blame on me. Now, listen, it could very well have been on the card before he made the purchase, but 3 months go by. I don't know. I don't know. But instead of leaving a 1-star review, I just wish the guy talked to me. I mean, Ricky, you sell stuff on Instagram and on eBay, and instead of just leaving like negative reviews, just shoot me a message, like have a conversation with me. I know what you do is a little bit more, behind the screen, but like if you wake up one day, you see a 1-star review on your eBay page, you're gonna be like, what the hell? But like
Hmm.
it doesn't, and the problem can be resolved so easily by just, hey, Murph, I saw this, I didn't see it when I bought it, can we talk about this? Sure. I'm all about customer service. I'm all about friendly environment, transparency, of course. And I want to try to find a resolution that makes sense for both you and I. And the same person in the same review, and this is public knowledge. I'm not just making it up. You can literally go check it on the Murph's Car Town Google page if you guys want to. So you know that I'm not, lying to you guys. Is he also mentions how he bought the card because it was the quote, same price as it was online, da da da, blah, 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 and then mentions that he's never coming back because I'm overpriced. So a little contradictory there because you're saying that I'm priced the same as online, but now you're also saying that I'm overpriced in the same breath. Um, you're just mixing up your words, and to me, it just feels like it's a hateful review because you're just throwing shit on a wall. Just trying to throw shit on a wall, hope it sticks, and just be the Grinch. That's really what it's all coming down to. Now, again, if it was a genuine 1-star review because you had a bad experience, A, I wish you talked to me first, but B, then I deserve it. But at least make it make sense. My Jesus. So that's my rant. Hopefully, I didn't take up too much time, maybe a couple minutes. But again, it segues into respect in the hobby. Now, Ricky, this is kind of where I want to turn it to you. Have you had any bad experiences in the hobby where it could be at a show, it could be online, Instagram, eBay, whatever. Maybe you got a card in the mail that you didn't like. And how does somebody go, like, how did you resolve it if you did? Because I've yet to find any resolution to my incident besides just bitching about it here on the podcast and on social media and to customers that come in the shop.
Well, I had a somewhat similar experience on eBay where someone bought one of my Jason Tatum slabs. It was like a PSA 9 rated rookie shock or something like that. And like 3-4 weeks later, requested a refund because there was a scratch on the case. So I was like, you saw the pictures of when I listed it. You've had it for a few weeks now, and now you want a refund. So, of course, eBay always sides with the buyers. So
Always.
I had to issue a refund. Granted, I didn't send the refund until I got the card back, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
That's good. At least you got the
yeah,
card back and it's not like, the card and the money.
yeah, yeah. It's just annoying. Like
It's
that makes me think. That makes me think like they couldn't flip it for what they wanted to, so they're just returning it or something
it,
like
and
that.
and that's why, like, one of the many reasons why I don't like doing online stuff. Although, I probably could, and there's an untapped market for the shop to do stuff more online, eBay, Instagram, stuff like that. But it's just little things like that just like make you say, WTF. Again, he could have got the card in the mail, tried to have flipped it. Maybe the market for Tatum just, really went down over the 3-4 weeks that he had it. And you know what? Maybe just took his keys, quick scratch. Hey, it has a scratch on it, and I want my money back. Like, it's just like dumb little stuff like that. And people can't take ownership for it. You bought the card. Maybe you overpaid. Maybe you couldn't flip it. Maybe you couldn't move it and profit off of it. So what? Like, I mean, people take losses all the time and they don't publish about them. They don't.
Hmm.
And listen, I'll be transparent. You can ask me about my losses and I'll happily tell you. We can talk about losses all day long on this podcast if we want to. But the thing is, the key takeaway is make sure you win more than you're losing. Whether you're winning, let's say 7 out of 10 deals, maybe you're losing only 2 out of 10 deals. Like, I mean, just keep the percentages in the positive favor, in the winning side, and just kind of move along. I mean, people win, people lose all the time. Why you got to be, such a scum about it? And I mean, it's just, I feel like there's little to no respect in the hobby, especially online. If you don't know the person or if you haven't ever done deals with this person before. Are you stretching? You trying to like limber up? You gonna fight somebody?
I got a little itch on my back.
Oh, I got you. Oh yeah, if you don't know this person online, like this person probably never bought from you before, probably doesn't know you, so he's literally just going to say "F you, I want my money back," instead of
Yeah.
But like if he knew you, let's say you met him on Instagram, whatever, you done a few deals with him, he's probably just going to kind of take the card and just kind of deal with it. So like it's just respect is so hard to find in this hobby, and it's quite unfortunate, really, especially with how business orientated it's become. Um, you would think that there'd be more respect, especially from a business standpoint in this hobby. That's
Well,
pisses me off.
like you hear people saying all the time, relationships in business are a lot more important than the money. And I
Yes,
think that's
I
true.
couldn't agree more about that. Um, I mean, relationships here at the shop, I mean, are are so important, especially for a small business. I mean, because yeah, people first walk in as customers. That's how I meet them. That's obviously how I met you first, Ricky, and everyone else that I've become great friends with. You walk in as customers, and then we build a relationship from there. And next thing you know, you're a regular. We're doing deals. We're going to card shows together. I mean, there's just so much there, so much untapped potential between just starting and building a relationship. I don't know. It really makes me feel, it almost makes me feel stupid because I feel like I'm at a loss of words how simplistic this topic should really be, but it's evolved into something more complex because of the lack of respect or the lack of simple mannerisms, I guess, in the hobby. Again,
Mhm.
I'm losing words here because I really feel like I shouldn't have to break it down this extreme.
Yeah, because I mean, people put money first. That's all it is.
How is I know you mentioned to me that there's like shows outside of the city and stuff like that, and none in the city. But in the shows that you have gone to there, try to put the national aside because that's like a one off. You know, how like not the show scene itself, but like the vendor scene, like because here locally, like a lot of the same vendors, a lot of the same cards if they're not able to move them. And granted, we're in a much smaller area. Probably the city of Chicago is the whole size of Rhode Island, but I mean, like is it easy to potentially build relationships out there from what you know by chance?
Um,
I mean, maybe the
well,
size of the market over there helps. The sports teams over there maybe helps. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, from what I experienced so far at these shows out here, people are cool. They're a decent amount of younger guys too, so that's always nice to see younger faces in the hobby instead of
Mhm.
people I could go on a rant about. But um,
This is a safe
yeah, no.
space. Promise.
Yeah, to seeing the same old geezers at every show. But um, yeah, I
There was
mean,
a
everyone's chill out here. Everyone's likes cards, wants to be in the hobby, enjoys the hobby.
there was a um at one of the local shows around here. I'll just leave it very broad. There was a guy who had probably two Matt Corral like collegiate flawless or national treasures. I think it was national treasures. I don't know, one of those bigger ones. Matt Corral rookie patch autos, like 5, I think, number to 5. Um, so, just picture a card like that. And obviously, maybe once upon a time, it was the price that I'm going to disclose. But the price that the guy was asking for, any guesses, Ricky, on what this potential price was that he's currently asking for? Now, keep in mind,
Currently, yeah.
I didn't see Matt Corral on the football field not once this year.
All
Couple
right.
rumors and links to the Pats released by the Panthers, and I think he's been AWOL ever since the Pats signed him.
So Matt Corral out of 5.
Patch auto out of one of the 3 nicer sets. Again, I couldn't remember if it was flawless or NT, and I tried to take a picture of it. I heard the phone click, and then I go to look at it like an hour later, and it's not there. So I don't know where the picture went.
Like $2,000.
Close, actually, really close. Well, kind of 4,000, 4 grand. Now, again, when he was a rookie and that product first came out, again, I don't know the Matt Corral market off the top of my head, but very well could have been a $4,000 card. And I'm so curious, and I cannot wait for the next show in February because it's a monthly show, and I know that card's going to be there to see it there. It's just like I, I try to talk to a guy who came in the shop. He probably had 2 4-row boxes and 2 1-row boxes, not filled to the brim, but fairly filled with just dollar cards, maybe a couple $3 cards, maybe 1 or 2 $10 cards. And yeah, I like looking at that stuff because that's good dollar inventory. That's good 20% bin inventory. And yeah, I'll take a look at it. Guess how much that guy. Now, this guy, he's come to the shop. He was a regular. He's kind of separated himself because he's got some family things. That's neither here nor there. But he wanted an astronomical price. Now, Ricky, I'm just gonna put you on the spot again. Take a wild guess how much he wanted. Before you guess, let me give you a little context.
Yeah.
At the Crown Jewel show in Warwick, 2 weeks ago at this point, I picked up. I even posted about it on the shop social media. 6 binders of basketball cards, where 85% of them were dollar cards, and probably a small percentage, 15%, 10, 15, was like 50-cent cards. I picked those up for mega boxes of draft pick prisms. That's what I traded the guy. And I got the 6 binders. Probably well over, I don't know, well over 1,000 cards in total, I'd say, give or take. I mean, I went through a ton of penny sleeves to sleeve it all up. So call it 120 in value because MSRP price for those mega boxes is $60 each. On eBay, it's probably like $100, $90. So now you have a little context, you have a perspective. Guess how much that those 2 row boxes or those 2 4-row boxes and the 2 1-row boxes were. Again, not filled to the brim, but filled pretty well.
800.
$850 was his cash price. $1,250 was his trade value price. I'm like, where? I'm like, what? And okay, so like, talk to me before I kind of go into it. When you have a card, and we might have talked about this before, when you have a card that you're just down in the red on, that's just you bought it for too high and the market's completely changed on it, what do you do with it? Do you just like try to cut your losses? Do you try to keep it and hope it rebounds because you're so low into it?
If
Like let's say you're into a card for let's say
there's
$300 and it's now like a $50 card.
oof.
I know, bad.
I'd probably hold it. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a situation like that yet.
Not
But
really. Anything like similar at least where you just, you invested in the wrong guy or something? Like obviously Otani was, a given. But like
yeah,
let's say like we both love James Wood to the moon. But let's say he doesn't pan out, right? Let's just I mean,
yeah, that would mess me up. That would mess me up.
so like obviously like you could just sit and hoping that he actually pans out well, maybe goes to another team and actually, performs well there, or maybe you could just keep them all because of the story and the kind of the sentimental value to it.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't pan out, then I might be a little. Then I'm a little in the red. But yeah, as far as a single player, I haven't really invested in too many players for me to be down like that. If that
That's
makes
fair.
sense.
That's
Um,
fair. So like this guy was into all these boxes for X hundred. I won't disclose it, but a good amount. And I was like, where's the value? And like, where are you seeing this? I asked him to pull up the 5 most expensive cards. Try to educate me on $1,200 of value here. Pulled out like
mhm.
a Ted Williams top 70 project. I think it was a Eloy Jimenez auto out of 99 from 2022 Absolute Baseball, a camo pink Bailey Zappi rookie, and an Aaron Judge. I think it was like a Topps update. It was him in like the All-Star jersey throwing the ball when it was in Miami that year. It was that card. So those are the 4. Those are the 4 you could find me. I'm like, I'll give you the Judge card. It's probably like a $10 to $20 card. I'll give you the Ted Williams. I don't know. We didn't get to look it up, but I looked up the Eloy Jimenez and it went for $3 online.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna say.
I tried to educate him. I'm like, you can either just cut your losses and be done with it, hit the reset button, boom, and move forward. That's option 1. Option 2, piece it out on Whatnot. Try to sell $1 a card to 20 for 10 or whatever, and just try to do it that way. Which he's been trying to do, by the way, and with no luck. Number 3, set up at a show. $1 a card, 15 for 10. See you later. Goodbye. But he's kind of on the lazier side. And I'm not trying to, sound like a dickhead or anything, but I'm just again trying to give details and context to where I'm going here is sometimes you either just have to cut your losses and just be done with it. Let's say Shohei Ohtani never pitches again. I truly think that is going to diminish his market because I think that's where a lot of the glare comes from. He's a unicorn. On top of being a great hitter and all, and a international superstar. Again, quick example, but like where you have a bunch of just you know dollar stuff that has no value to it, really, just no matter what that player does, because it's in those bins for a reason. You're not going to find
Mhm.
Otani rookie cards in those bins, whether he blows up or he crashes to the earth. He's not going to be in those bins because of what he's done and what he's doing. Um, or you actually have to put in the work. And again, one of the reasons why I don't like doing online stuff is because I don't want to put in the work to do online stuff because I'm already doing so much here with the storefront. Now, a lot of people do put in the work for the online store, the eBays, the Instagrams, the websites, all that stuff. But this guy doesn't do that. So how are you expecting to make money or move this stuff when you're not putting in the work? Ricky, talk to me about
Well,
putting in the work online.
that's the thing people don't realize. Like this stuff actually takes a lot of work. Like
Yeah,
people think it's as easy as buying and selling, but like
I wish.
I like people like you're how do I word this? You're a shop owner, you know, and then these influencers, they're influencers, whatever, they're buying, they're traveling to shows, whatever. Like people just see this as like a hobby or something like that. But
Yep.
like this is real. This is well, it is a hobby. How do I trying to word this? People don't realize that this is like a legit business.
It's a
This is
legit business if you have that mindset and that aspiration to it. Like if you just want to pick up Juan Soto and James Woods cards, Mookie Betts cards, and just collect them, that's all you got to do. That's it. But if you actually, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just using you as an example because you're
I
right
know,
there.
I got you.
But like if you want to like actually go out and buy, sell, trade, flip, invest, do everything, then you actually have to put in the work. It's not all that easy. Sorry, continue.
No, you're right. It's people just see it for face value, like, oh, you're just doing baseball cards, blah blah blah. There's no real money in that. You need a real job, real business, blah blah blah. But it's a real like there's real money in this. And
There
people
there
don't
is
real like you're not gonna be handed, you know, you're not gonna be handed a store. You're not gonna be handed thousands of YouTube followers. You're not gonna be handed
Mhm.
$1,000 cards and all that. Like it takes real work to build up all that stuff.
I as much as I'm indifferent on the YouTube influencers, and just for note, I don't consider myself an influencer. I just like to document my journey with the shop, and obviously just obviously it's a form of advertisement for the shop in the same breath. But
Mhm.
just I just want to where I'm going with this, put myself out there. So where I'm going with this is like I don't consider myself an influencer, but I think a lot of these influencers on YouTube give people, especially younger people, the wrong impression because all that they see these guys do is just go to shows, have tons of money, buy these cards, get them graded, flip them, buy them, flip them, trade them, whatever, sell, do all this good stuff. And very rarely will you see the behind the scenes work. And I will give these influencers credit as how indifferent I am on them, is they do put in the work. I mean, Mojo, Roth cards, I mean, I think they do put in the work, and like you've seen tidbits of it here and there. Like it just doesn't happen naturally. Again, I think those influencers kind of give off the wrong image because I also think they make it more easy than it appears to be. But especially for the younger kids, they think they can just walk in like, oh, it's 160. Will you take 100 for it? It's like, well, no, it doesn't
Mhm.
work like that, pal. So again, it gives awareness. Let's pivot and talk about. Let's stay with the hobby, of course, but let's pivot and talk about let's talk about retail wax, Ricky, because I get asked all the time, what boxes have the best autos in, or the best chances for autos in it? What boxes have the best hits out of them? And a lot of people don't want to pay for the hobby boxes, and deservingly so. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast here, but more often than not, I'd probably say 90% of the time, if you're looking for autos, which I get asked all the time, it's going to be in the hobby boxes.
Mhm.
So I bear the question to you, Ricky. Is opening retail wax, blasters, fat packs, mega boxes, anything you can find at the big box store shelves and your local card shop worth it compared to maybe a cheaper hobby box?
It depends on what you're looking for exactly. Like
Mm-hmm.
you used to bring this up all the time. That what's that brand um that has like three autos in a box for $100?
Oh,
Leaf.
Leaf, yeah.
Leaf. Like if you're looking for autos, buy something like that.
But it's
But
unlicensed though.
yeah, no, exactly. If you're looking for like the real. money makers, or you look at the chance to make some money off of it, then you're gonna have to either A, buy a shitload of blasters, or B, put up the money for a hobby box.
Well, let me stop you there. When you say a shitload of blasters, I'm thinking like 10 blasters. I mean, I don't know if that was kind of the rough number you had in your mind. Now,
Give or take.
if blasters are 25 to $30 and we're buying 10 of them, that's 300, that's 250, $300. That's a decent hobby box. I mean, that's probably like a certified hobby box right there. Um, you get two autos and two mem cards. So why not just buy one of those at that point? It, Basically, where I'm going with it is people want to pay the least for the most. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't get the best of both worlds. And oftentimes you'll get that diamond in the rough, that once a year pull out of just a random box that you stopped into Target just to pick up because you were grocery shopping. Once in a while, that'll happen. But for the majority of times, you're seeing these big hits come out of, again, you're seeing them on social media, you're seeing them on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, and all that stuff. And you're like, oh, I could do that. He's done it. I can do it. Why can't I do it? So let me
Mm-hmm.
go to the store, get a couple boxes. Next thing you know, you're $90 down and you got nothing out of it. And
Well,
again, going back to
that
the Leaf box for $100, again, that's just that Leaf exotic example, why not go for that? I mean, you save yourself the money, you get the hits still, and you don't have all the base, which people want nothing to do with anyways.
hmm. What was I going to say?
It's
Well, yeah, it's it's like it kind of ties back to what we were talking about because like you have to put it takes it costs money to make money.
damn right.
So like you got to put in the work, you got to put in the money to make the money, and then even then, it's not even guaranteed with the box. You could buy 1,000 blaster boxes and not get a single hit,
Mm-mm.
and the person who buys the 1,001st gets the hit.
I love how Panini specifically per case hit. I've heard people get into breaks, of opening cases of absolute. Case of absolute football hobby boxes is 12 boxes and no kaboom. But they'll get was it the glass insert this year? I think is also, and then there's the explosive that's also a case hit, but it's not a kaboom though, and they're upset that it's not a kaboom. Again,
Yeah.
that's the kaboom being the highlight insert of the hobby is a story for another day. But it's just like their case hits per average, just like you see those that one auto, one patch card per box on average. It's all average based. Sometimes you'll get burnt, sometimes you'll get a hot box, sometimes you'll get points of redemption, whatever it may be. I'll always go to my grave saying this. If you're looking for a fun, cheap rip to open during the game, to open with, a bottle of beer, to open with your kid, retail is a great option. Low investment, so you don't have to spend money to make money, but cheap enough to go have fun and enjoy your night or your day, whatever you're doing. But again, spend money to make money. You got to fork over the money. Now, listen, whenever I go to shows, I don't want to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on cards, but you just have to. You have to. I mean, for me, I got to, get inventory. I have to put singles out. But like, yeah, if you want the chance at that CJ Stroud, number to 10 patch card because there's no autos, then you have to fork over the money to try to hope to pull it because you're not going to spend the thousands and thousands of dollars that it's costing because it's marked to the roof. But yeah, you got to spend money to make money, but people forget that aspect of it because I just think that they see like, oh, I'm just opening a blaster from Target. Oh, look at that. I pull a $10,000 CJ Stroud card. I could go do that. If he could do it, I can go do that. So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
circling
Well,
back to my main question. Is it worth it? If you're having fun, yes. But if you're looking for that return on investment, I'm going to say no 10 out of 10 times.
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, people don't realize if every box would return the profit, then it wouldn't be worth anything. Like
Yeah.
how can you expect every box to make your money back or profit or whatever? There has to be dust. That's just the balance.
And I feel like as much as everybody wants a CJ Stroud kaboom right now or an Anthony Richardson kaboom. If the market is flooded with them, then they're going to be worthless. They're only worth something because their case hits and they're so far and few between. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. Now, if everybody had them, they'd be in the dollar bin, making it worthless. So as much as people want things, they need to also realize that there is value because the supply is low for the insanely high demand. Again, it's a business perspective that people kind of forget. Spend money to make money. They forget about that perspective. It's nuts. It's really nuts. But speaking about CJ Stroud, I want to talk about these young quarterbacks, Ricky, because it just puzzles me to the day that I die. How are they more valuable than Hall of Fame quarterbacks? I don't understand it. Um, Before I go on another rant, can you please shed some light on it and like how it could or why you think that these quarterbacks are so much more valuable than Joe Montana, than Dan Marino, and all those guys?
So I could go on a rant about this as well.
Take the stage.
I
I've been ranting all day. Take the stage. I'll sit
I can
back.
listen. I can understand why people are so confused with, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young going for more than Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's hype that drives the market. You know, we're seeing these young kids, names in the news a lot more than Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, whatever. So it kind of it kind of annoys me when I see old heads talking about, oh, Joe Montana is, a Hall of Famer. His rookie card should be thousands of dollars, blah, blah, blah. It's like, first of all, how do I,
Well, I don't
it's
want
just
to.
like a lot, a lot, a lot of people who are buying Joe Montana, older quarterbacks like that, Dan Marino, it's all for nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to
So
put it.
these younger kids that are in the hobby now, they're seeing the quarterbacks of today, Mahomes, even Josh Allen, who sucks now, Justin Herbert sucks. That's who they're buying. That's why so many more people are buying them today. The people who grew up watching Joe Montana, Dan Marino, they're, you know, not as present in today's world.
Aging out.
Aging out, that's a good way to put it. So there's no nostalgia or like memories for these young kids of those quarterbacks. They never got to see them. So
That's
that's why people care more about like Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all these young, even Will Levis. I don't know why people like Will Levis, but anyways, it's that's
so. Let
why
me
they're more present in the market.
let me ask you this question, because someone told me about this probably a couple of months ago, and it didn't dawn on me until that person said it. If you were to just in a vacuum, what is the crown jewel baseball card? The majority of people are probably going to say the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card, just in a vacuum. Now, why is that? Because 52 is the first year of Topps. Topps was around for 70 plus. I guess still is around. Mickey Mantle was a true face of baseball for like 15 years. New York, championships, Hall of Famer, everything that you could want from a baseball player. But how many people today actually watched him play? Or better
Mm-hmm.
yet, how many people were even alive when he was alive? Because he passed away, I think, in 96. And so someone brought this up to my attention, is that those old heads, those old timers, those boomers are dying out. People that actually saw him play and actually enjoyed him. And the reason why he rose to stardom is because of his performance on the field. If Mickey Mantle sucked and was a bum, no one would be caring about the 52 Topps Mantle card. But because he played so well and people enjoyed him playing, that's why it has value on top of being a vintage card. The vintage card obviously helps. If he was a player from like the 80s, it wouldn't have as much lust. because you got to see more and more players like him throughout the years. Ken Griffey Jr., I mean, to a degree, Sammy Sosa before he really got juiced up, like on and on. But like when you look at like the Joe Montana, the Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, even a little later, their cards aren't vintage. They were from the 70s and the 80s, and Manning obviously in the 90s, where it got more and more saturated, more and more printed, and more accessible to the average consumer compared to 52 Tops. You can't find that anywhere. So I think that is an element to it compared to, let's say, the Joe Montana thing. And I think you're right. A lot of people are aging out. They're phasing out. Joe Montana's not on the news anymore. He's not on TV. He's not on Sports Center. But Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar, I mean, all these guys are on TV and we're watching them today. Fast forward 50 years when they're not playing and we're older and we're dying out. Are people still going to care about them? I mean, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, just retired last year. Nobody's talking about him. Not a soul. Now, when he gets on TV as a broadcaster, maybe that changes. But Peyton Manning's a huge media head. He's on every commercial. He's on ESPN doing the Monday Night Football thing. I mean, we're always seeing him, but people still never talk about him. So, like, when I look at Joe Montana, probably the second best quarterback of all time, if we had to say, nobody cares because he's the second. Brady is the first, but people also don't care right now about him because they just care about these guys. But I was saying this to you off before we hit the record button that if Justin Herbert has half the career Joe Montana has, 2 Super Bowls, let's just mix in an MVP, and let's call it 8 Pro Bowls. He's a Hall of Famer and probably one of the best ever, maybe even in that top 10 argument, because that's such a loose argument. But that's half the career as Joe Montana. But the value for Justin Herbert cards are through the roof. Why? Because his Prism rookie card is shiny and Joe Montana's Topps rookie card isn't. Just makes no sense to me, and it never will. So there's my rant about that.
It's people like unproven for some reason. Like they want to be the guy
The
who
hype,
gets.
like you said, the hype. That's what they like. They love the hype, the unprovenness. It's crazy to me.
They want to be the guy who gets it right, who bought in early or whatever. Like people think it's still time to buy in for Justin Herbert. Or like,
Is it still time? Is there?
I mean, what year is he in now? Well, going to be in 5, 4?
21, 2, 3, 5th
By
year?
next season,
Wait,
5, yeah.
2020, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, oh my God, he's going to be a 5th year.
Yeah,
Holy
what the
crap.
hell is he doing? Exactly.
Well, I want to look up Joe Montana because this is such a great example. Like, what was Joe Montana doing his 5th year? Excuse me. Let's see. I think that asterisk is Super Bowls, I believe. Keep going. I'm his 3rd year, he won the Super Bowl because they won in 81, I believe, right? Hold on, I gotta look. FS 49ers Super Bowl years. 82, 85. Okay, so in Joe Montana's 4th year, he won the Super Bowl. Now, granted, he had Jerry Rice. Actually, Jerry Rice didn't come on until later, actually. But like Herbert, Austin Eckler, arguably one of the best running backs in football. Keenan Allen, freaking one of the most reliable wide receivers in football. Granted, the coaching and the O-line hasn't been a thing, but like we haven't even seen a breath of fresh air out of him to show you that he's the guy. And I'm not trying to bag the damn kid, but like, I think he's a really, really good quarterback and he's going to put up great numbers, but he's getting a lot of Philip Rivers comparisons. And it's not because he plays for the same team. It's just because of what you're seeing. Guy that will put up good numbers, be in the MVP conversation, Pro Bowls, maybe win a playoff game here and there. That's about it. But his card, his Shield 1 of 1, still over $1 million. It's just bizarre. But what I was also looking up was CJ Stroud Kaboom because some guy, or maybe it's still list active, I think it was still active. There's like an out of 10 Kaboom. Some guy shared with me, and I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. But there's a Kaboom that sold for 15 grand on 51 bids. Ricky, on 51 bids. What could you do with 15 grand? Like, what? Like, does he actually have that kind of hype? Like, this just reminds me of 2020 and 2021 prices. It's just bizarre to me.
Who's this, Stroud?
Oh. Stroud, yeah, Stroud.
I mean,
Like, his 1 of 10 Kaboom, his 1 of 10 gold Kaboom, sorry to interrupt, is listed for 75,000. I remember seeing this, it was 100,000, so the guy lowered the price. But excuse me, choked a little bit. Like, it just, the kid's going to be good. I really do. I think he's in a great system. You put him on the Panthers where Bryce Young is, I think he would have struggled. You put Bryce Young on the Texans, I think he would have been fine. But like, I couldn't name a single Joe Montana card that's worth $15,000, let alone $75,000. Like, what? Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I can't.
no, I trust me, I understand. It's just
What are we doing?
I can somewhat understand the CJ Stroud hype because he is one of the better rookie quarterbacks in a long
Mm-hmm.
time. So, like, I don't want to say it's justified because those prices are never justified, but
Is it hype though? Like we were talking about earlier? Like, what if he
it is.
sucks next year? What if he has a like, I don't want to say sucks, but what if he has a sophomore slump? He regresses. Maybe they're one and done in the playoffs. Maybe they don't even make the playoffs at all. Then what? Then what? That's where the whole like unproven thing kind of comes. Yeah, it's exciting to get into him early and be the guy that's right about him. But like, at least Peyton Manning's won 5 MVPs and 2 Super Bowls. Montana won 4 Super Bowls. At least Steve Young won 1. And, Dan Marino didn't win any, but he's got MVP and he has all these insane passing yards for a time well before his own. It's just like, they're proven. They're proven.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. It is
Like I said,
crazy to me.
people just want to be the guy who did it right and was able to guess that this person would explode. They want to be in before the hype. Well, not before the hype, but they everyone wants to buy early so they
Yeah.
can sell at the right time.
And the thing is that's still kind of crazy to me is as much as, I think downtown and kabooms outside of your super low numbered stuff and obviously outside of your like RPAs are your best inserts to pull. Obviously there's going to be like the optic downtown that comes out later. But I think the thing with like these cards coming out now, I think the market's only going to go down because especially your base kaboom for $15,000. Yes, case hit, love it all, but it's not numbered and people love the
Mm-hmm.
scarcity. Now, obviously, a case hit, you want to think that it's numbered to something, right? You don't want to think that there's just 1,000 of them out there. And that always bows the question, would you rather have a card that's, or let's say a case hit that's not numbered or a generic insert number to 1,000? Again, I don't want to think that there's more than 1,000 case hits out there of the kaboom, but I look up Anthony Richardson downtowns when I had it, and I was just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because there was a gazillion of them out there. So like,
Yeah.
how rare are these cards really going to be? And then as time and time goes on, we're going to obviously, the Prism just came out. We're going to get optic, downtowns. We're going to be getting, again, NT, flawless, immaculate. We're going to get all those higher end stuff too. And I think that's going to kind of affect the market of these nice high end cards of his and any quarterback, Levis, Richardson, Young, or whoever, because people are going to be selling that off to go buy this stuff because I guess there's going to be different this year because there's going to be no RPAs of Stroud because he's a Fanatics
Mm-hmm.
athlete. But the point stays the same. You could use it for Anthony Richardson, who people are very excited about. I think some kid said this yesterday or the day before, that going into this past football season, people were buying and investing in Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, like at the National. And I was like, damn, you're right. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I think C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson are going to be those guys this year." I was like, "Damn, wow, you're probably right." Yeah. Um, so like with no RPAs, no flawless one of one autos and stuff like that, what are people actually going to be buying? Because when I tell people here at the shop, yeah, you can't pull their autos, they're like, "What? Why?" I'm like, "Well, because they're Fanatics athletes, and yeah, so you're just gonna have to numbered stuff and patches. That's it." So it's just I don't know. I don't know. A conversation that really, really is fun to talk about, frustrating, confusing, aggravating, but entertaining in the same time, I guess is a really good way to put it. I don't know. That's the best that I could probably try to word it, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
If you had to pick one quarterback from the last, I guess, 5 draft classes. Now, let's not include let's include the one coming up. So from 2020, so you got your Burrow, Herbert, and all those guys. 21, 22, 23, and then obviously Caleb Williams, Drake May, and those guys coming out this year. If you had to pick one, try not to be basic. If you had to pick one to ride or die, who is it?
Damn. One ride or die.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
I'm trying to think too. Shoot, this is actually a tougher question than I thought. Crap.
Yeah, because not too many of them have actually proved anything.
So I got one, and I'll say mine while you think of yours. I'm gonna go with, it's not a sexy pick. I'm gonna go with Jordan Love, and here's why.
Okay.
I still think he's well under the radar. He had a great second half of the season, and I think he proved a lot of people wrong. And I don't think he'll ever be a top 3 quarterback in the league. He might be close. He might get MVP votes down the line. But like, I think for him, all it's going to take is to win one. That's it. I think that's all it's going to. I mean, Aaron Rodgers only won one, and people go crazy over him. Granted, he's got 4 MVPs, but like, I think the story behind Love, hyped up prospect, looked really good out of college, sat for 3 years, learned behind Rodgers. I mean, I just think the Herberts of the world, the Hurts of the world are just too volatile. So I'm also trying to think of that dynamic at the same time. Whereas if Jordan Love, I mean, let's say he makes it to, let's say they beat the 49ers, the market's going to skyrocket. Now you're playing with house money in his market. And let's say they lost to the Lions, then I don't think it would have like collapsed or caved in. Like,
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, for instance, win, lose, or draw at any moment in the playoffs, his market was not going to go down. If anything, it was going to go up or stay the same. And I feel the same about Jordan Love. So that's my little ride or die pick.
No, I mean, yeah, Packers always they seem to draft these long tenure quarterbacks, so he have a future. God, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Uh-oh. Who is it?
Justin Fields.
Yeah. Local.
I,
I like that. A local for you.
God, I can't believe I said that, but
Where
yeah.
does he play next year? Is he the Chicago Bears starting quarterback week 1 or no?
Honestly, I would like to see him as a Patriots starting quarterback week 1.
I've heard those rumors. Listen, the 21 draft, obviously I wanted the pass to draft Mac Jones. I saw a lot of Brady, poise, pocket, all that stuff. It really hasn't worked out. Pat's failed him. Conversation for later. But I really wanted Fields as well. And I'm hearing mock trades for like a 3rd round pick. I'm like, I'll ship the 3rd round pick myself for Justin Fields.
Dude,
I'll drop it off
yeah.
at the Bears front office. It's just like, as long as it's not that 1st overall or that 3rd overall pick for Fields, I'll absolutely wrap my head around it. You get 2 years out of the kid, and I think he brings a dynamic that we haven't seen here in New England. And I think Gerard Mayo and whatever else you can bring in will actually really kind of fit. So I love that pick. Love that pick.
I just he is not his team's problem. I think he plays great. I think he is a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's the talent around him that makes him look subpar. And I just think
Yeah,
that kid has so much potential.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we've seen flashes with him, and I mean that Bears team coaching staff, it's just really been subpar. And I think the Bears have failed Fields in the same way. Just Fields can run around, so he looks a little bit better than Mac Jones. Again, I think the Pats failed Mac Jones because of how good he looked his rookie year. So we only got a couple minutes left, Ricky. Quick outgoing takes as we go into the next couple of weeks because we won't be here until February for episode 11.
All right. Well, first of all, by James Wood. We're still doing that.
Always.
Uh, Second of all, oh, by the time we record again, we're gonna know who's playing in the Super Bowl.
Oh, well, what would that be? The
That'll
first
be
and
the
eighth.
week
That'll be
before.
right before the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk all things Super Bowl. Probably
So
react to
you,
the championship games. What?
if no, I'm just gonna say, if you're buying Lamar, if you're buying
Buy him up.
fucking
Buy
buying
him up.
Purdy,
I mean, we saw
Mahomes,
it. We saw the spike
Goff,
with Mahomes last year. We saw the spike with Stafford. Granted, nobody wants Stafford anymore, but we saw the spike then. Uh, the market was already high when Brady won. I'm trying to think who won the year before that. I can't even think who won the year before that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just I cannot wait to talk all things Super Bowl because really, whoever wins that Super Bowl, their market's going to skyrocket. So yeah, that's going to be my outgoing take: is buy up these
better hope you made the
quarterbacks
right
now.
choice.
What's that?
Better hope you made the right choice.
Whoever it is, you got 4 choices. Maybe you buy into 2 of them, one from each conference, or maybe you just double down on the same conference. But that's going to be my outgoing take: is buy up the quarterbacks before the market's too late because one of them will skyrocket. Lamar has a leg up on everybody because he's more than likely going to win the MVP. But guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, comment down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing. Ricky, it was great as always. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you for Super Bowl edition of Hobby Talk.
All right. See you
Peace out.
guys.